having your website hacked is really kind of crappy. And the problem is there are so many types of ways to get into a website and so many things that can happen, it becomes kind of befuddling about what to do with all these things going forward. So in today's Morning for Visionaries, we're surprisingly not talking about the technology of these things. Today is a talk about the education, knowledge, and the, how shall we say, the descriptions of what can possibly happen to your website, starting with the basic example of what is getting hacked. So, getting hacked on your website simply means, or cracked, depending how you use the words, can simply mean that somebody has gotten illicit access to your content, data, files, or website in general. Somebody who's not supposed to be there is there. They have essentially broken into your website through one of many potential means, and there's a whole bunch of ways, such as social engineering, that's still kind of sort of technically getting hacked. But we're not talking about social engineering today. We're talking about the stuff that they put on your website. So simply getting hacked is kind of sort of a bad thing. But before we jump into the bad things they can do, let's differentiate very quickly about good hacking and bad hacking. If you hire a security firm to hack your website and get in, that is good because you are doing security research to find out where your vulnerabilities are and you can improve upon those. Well, that's one thing. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about what happens if a baddie gets into your website. And what can they do? Well, once somebody is in, they can do almost anything depending on the access they have. If you're on a low quality host with low security, most likely they can do anything and everything because at that point they have access to the database, the files, and everything in that account, usually. Though, on better hosts, they could either not even be let in simply because of the server security, or they have very, very limited access on that. There are ways to secure yourself, and again, that's for another topic. Though, let's say somebody got into your website, and now what? Well, simply, if you're just getting hacked, they can just simply deface your site, change around your data, troll you, or simply just screw around with you. That is, thankfully, the least bad, we should say, things that can happen to your website. If they simply change your name, add a silly graphic, and these kinds of things, that's probably the best case scenario. Or actually, probably the best case scenario is, hey, we found a vulnerability in your website, here's how to fix it, here's how we got in, you should probably go fix that soon. Now, that's the best case scenario. But other than that, the best case scenario is they just hacked it, didn't really do much of anything, maybe only slightly poked fun at you. That is probably the best case scenario. Other than that, things that they can do, they can install ads. Now you're thinking, well, ads aren't so bad. Well, let's say that you run your own ads. They could replace your ads with their own ads, and if you have a decent amount of traffic, they can be essentially taking over your traffic and getting revenue for themselves instead of you, from your hard work, you getting the revenue you deserve. So that's a possibility. They can also put in malicious code that tracks other people, spreads virus, or spreads their spam stuff even more and more. So that's a possibility as well, and that kind of sucks. Though adding adware is honestly how shall we say, assuming it's not too bad, it's one of the lighter forms of getting hacked. It is possible, and thankfully it's usually easy to remove. They usually don't do too many bad things, and users usually don't suffer much from it. You might suffer financially from a loss of revenue, but it's usually not that bad, all things considered. Another type of stuff they can put on is spyware. This one kind of sucks. It's potentially very, very bad, but it's spyware. And if they put stuff on your website, they can potentially track anything and everything you do, including credit card numbers. We had a case on a client website where they were doing a significant amount of money and to the e-commerce website, and some hackers installed spyware on the website to capture credit card information and send it to their own servers to do whatever they're going to do with that. Thankfully, that was pretty easy to figure out. It was essentially some JavaScript code, and we could just remove that and harden some things going forward. But spyware generally is they want some data from you or from your users and to get it out for their own purposes, to gather it, scrape it, get a credit card numbers, or whatever other information they may have, or information on you, which then you're kind of being targeted, which really sucks. And my least favorite kind of getting hacked, other than somebody kind of really screwing with you and just destroying your things because they hate you, other than that, my least favorite is ransomware. Ransomware is where somebody has hacked your website and then they shut it down saying they stole your data, they locked you out completely and your security team and the dev team and the server team and everything and said, hey, you're not getting any of this back until you give us money. This is becoming more and more prevalent because it works. Companies usually pay to get their stuff information because it's easier and quicker and faster to pay somebody to unlock their website and pay the ransom than to deal with fixing everything, backing up everything up, restoring from a good version, and then figure out what the security hole was. So ransomware sadly works. It's growing in prevalency, and this is why backups and having decent server security is very important because ransomware will really, really financially screw you over. So those are the types of hacks essentially on your website. So again, this was just a quick need to know. The reason this came up was because there was a bunch of stuff going around lately, especially in ransomware and websites in general getting hacked. Some security issues with some WordPress plugins lately floating around. So I just wanted to let you guys know of what's generally possible and what people can do with your website. So the general and the quick answer is, and once they're in, they can do almost anything and everything. So that's why it's a good idea to secure yourself. No, a sales pitch is not incoming, but if you want to secure yourself, one, host on good, high quality, secure, performance oriented, generally servers, especially managed servers where another team, especially the server team, takes care of a lot of things for you, especially server security. Two, keep your website itself, not the server, the website itself, the application, secure as possible. Keep it up to date. Keep backups. Make sure backups work. Make sure you can't at least minimize the ability for hackers to social engineer their way in. Minimize the attack vectors so they can't get in various ways. There are also some security. You don't have to keep up to date with most of these things, just so you know. You don't have to keep browsing security news, day in, day out. But generally, keep your website up to date. Keep plugins, themes, modules, apps, whatever you want to call it, up to date, and minimize the amount of additional tools you use so that you minimize the potential ways people can get in. So that's it for today's Morning for Visionaries. Just a quick little good to know type information. If you have any questions about website security, especially WordPress security, leave your message in the comments and we'll see what we can do. Have a good day. Bye.